what's up with it, y'all? It's JD and James, and we're back with another quick video. In today's video, we're gonna kind of give you guys an overview about, what this channel is all about, but we kind of wanted to segue into that with something that, I've seen on many of occasions, and, I actually just recently watched this interview with Bruce Lee, and it's something that I've heard from Bruce Lee in the past, but he was talking about how no way is the way. And essentially how I wanted to touch on that is that, what this channel is all about is more so your mindset, more so than the actual pathway that you take on your journey. You know what I mean? When it comes down to whatever type of, career choice you want, whatever type of, training methods that you use, whatever type of sport that you play, whatever type of passion that you might have, or whatever type of mission that you're on in life. And it's more so the mindset of enjoying the journey and picking up as much knowledge and wisdom as you can on your road to, whatever your goals are and on your road to success. James, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I think the core behind it, or the trunk of the tree, is really that mindset. That's the driver of everything. And then it kind of branches off to all these other different pursuits on the side. And for me, whenever I'm kind of chasing after a pursuit, I like to chase the most pure form of that craft. So if you're studying diets, you might be studying, bodybuilders or professional athletes. And if you're studying strength, you might be studying powerlifters. If you're studying quick movement, you might be studying track and field athletes. But all of that is just trying to paint a more accurate picture of the world. And basically you're kind of trying to borrow information from all different crafts, and you're trying to incorporate that into your mission.
Yeah, and I think in terms of especially when you want to touch on like the fitness and athletics portion of it, we actually want to be like a hybrid of it all. You know what I mean? Like James has a background in what is it? Powerlifting, Olympic lifting. And I have a background in basketball. And, we both kind of came together at the calisthenics park because we both practice calisthenics heavy. So, we kind of have played different sports in our life. I know James was telling me that he played hockey back in the day. I ran track and field back in high school. And we've played different sports. And, it's kind of like we've learned, taking like little bits and nuggets from each one of these, parts and stops on our journey along the road to where we're at now. And we're actually still trying to gain more and more knowledge. And, we want to kind of build up a community here of people who are kind of coming from, different sectors. It might be, somebody who's really heavy into yoga, or it might be somebody who's really heavy into tennis. And we kind of want to get all of those kind of perspectives and put it all into one channel. And that's kind of how I wanted to tie it into like that Bruce Lee No Way is a Way, is because, there's an infinite amount of pathways to get to the same place. Me and James both do calisthenics heavy. You know what I mean? We both have kind of been working on skills over this kind of this calisthenics journey that we're on. And James has some different tactics to get in there that, I've never used before. And I've had some different tactics to get into where I got to, where James never used them before. So that's the beauty of coming together and being able to put all this knowledge into one place. And eventually we're going to have more and more people coming on this channel and giving us more knowledge. And it doesn't just stop at calisthenics. And it doesn't just stop at athletics. It goes all throughout every,
we're looking
section
at, honestly,
of life.
it can be, we're looking for people who are on their purpose and are high performers in whatever they're doing. And for me personally, when I started learning calisthenics, I honestly didn't look to the top calisthenics people for the movements. I would look at, Olympic gymnasts. I would look at, yoga instructors. I honestly believe that to achieve a high level, you have to search for the most pure, the source of the information. Don't find the watered down source. Go straight to the exact source of that information.
And you know what? That's an extremely great way to find information, but I think another way to find information is actually through yourself. And I think that's like one of the most beautiful things about calisthenics, is just getting creative. Like sometimes I just get out at the park and I start doing things I've never seen before, just because it's like it's a movement that you can do. So why not try it out? And sometimes those movements end up strengthening you up in places that you never really thought it was going to strengthen you up at. And then you're able to hit other movements a lot easier because of that. So play around with it, get creative, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like your own kind of style in terms of creating your own imprint.
The actual source really is the physical world and experimenting and field testing every single theory that you stumble across. I mean, it doesn't get any more pure. We always laugh about, people might be arguing about diet, and we're like, we literally ate the food. We knew exactly what we ate. We watched the results. We tracked every little bit. So we know what works for a fact. I mean, that's not even disputable. It's exactly what happened to us. It's not about some, experiment that was run on other people who may have different allergies than us, may have a different training background, a different training age. They might have different
training
air
style.
quality.
We just made a video earlier today about different training styles and what your goals are and where you're starting your journey at. So everybody starts their journey off at a different place. So you need to train specifically for where you're starting at and where you want to get to. Don't worry about what the next man is doing. Don't follow somebody else's program or what somebody else did to a T. We're our own science experiment. You can take little pieces of this person's game or take little pieces of that person's game. That's great. That's what you're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, you need to be kind of figuring out what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this really is, I mean, a lot of people really just, they want to get the fastest results they can, the shortest track. And there is something to be said for that. I'm not trying to say there's no value to practicality, but a lot of times when you do try to take that expedited route, you miss out on a lot of information, and then even, kind of the invisibles.
Yeah, sometimes you miss out on those rough patches too, and I think those rough patches are extremely important along your journey. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not always the best thing to take the fastest way to get to the destination. Sometimes it's good to take the scenic route. You know what I mean? And have those little ups and downs and peaks and valleys. And a lot of times what you'll find out is your character will be tested more when you take your own route. And I made a video the other day talking about how, our blessings come at the bottom and how like our character gets built in those valleys. Because, one thing I've noticed is that when you're going through kind of hard times, or maybe if you're even just having a bad day, that's a lot of the time when we kind of want to slip up and maybe get off our diet. Or maybe we want to take a day off from, training that day. We got 1,000 excuses on why we can always kind of slip up. But then when we're in like kind of that down place, it's easier to slip up. But that's when you're supposed to kick it into high gear and really actually say, you know what, I'm not even going to distract myself with this. I'm just going to put my feet to the fire and go even harder. And that's really where the character is built.
Everything's built. Honestly, those periods of life, those stretches, you might have a period 2 or 3 years of pure hell. It's like you are just like, wake up in the morning, you're miserable, go to sleep at night, you're miserable, but you're still literally just plugging away. And when you get to the other side of that, it's like,
but you know what the funny thing is though, James? I think that a lot of times when you in that type of state and when you're in that period of life, the grind is what gets you through. At least it is for me. When I'm in that type of state, or when I'm in like that kind of low place, like when I'm grinding and when I'm going hard and when I'm staying focused on my mission, like that's where the joy is at. Like, and that's how we were talking about earlier, how a lot of times, like the most, joyful times in your life is when you're in the mud, is when you're in the trenches. Those are the times you look back on and you always smile and talk to your buddies about, like, man, remember when we was going through that and we made it through that? It's because you were going hard at something and you kept your eyes on the prize.
And I kind of like to think about the hikes I've gone on in Hawaii, and the ones I remember are like, we got lost in the woods. We went down near the backside of 3 Peaks. We got lost, stumbled upon some random stray golf balls, and then ended up coming out on the 14th hole, thinking that we weren't even going to get out before dark. And in the time too, you might be panicked, you're like freaking out, but it brings you right to that present moment, because you realize at that time the future's not even guaranteed.
You're really in the present right there, because you're trying to figure it out.
Or you're hanging off a cliff, or that's happened to me as well. But like that, it brings you back to the present. But then when you actually beat that,
Yeah.
I mean, and then when when the highs start happening, it's
Yeah.
like these Manini things that people are all complaining about at
Yeah.
work. You almost
'Cause you
can't even
done
empathize
already-
anymore because
you built up that thick skin at that point. You know, you built up that thick skin. You stuck to your purpose. You stuck to the code, and you made it through, and you made progress along the way. And that's where you can really look back and gain that confidence in yourself because you stuck to something. You stayed with it to the point where even when you're going through that slump, you still came out on the other side a better person. And I think that's really what it's all about. And I think that's what this channel is, I mean, not even what I think, that is what this channel is really all about. It's a portion of it.
And also, I mean, to speak on kind of that going through the trenches or the mud or hell or whatever you want to call it, I mean, a lot of times, if you're not in that, place yourself in a situation. It could be even just putting yourself on an overwhelming training program. Maybe it's like trying to run an ultra marathon or do some crazy push-up challenge or dip challenge. I mean, create your own adversity. I mean, a lot of times right now we are in a place where we have a lot of comforts and it's easy to kind of succumb to that. But you can actually place yourself into the trenches on purpose.
And honestly, I think that
that
in the times that we living in right now, there's a lot of adversity going on in general. Even if it's not directly happening in your life, it's just there's a lot of background noise right now. So I think one of the easiest ways to kind of block out that background noise and stay on your mission is to literally get up every day and, give yourself that time. You know what I mean? Give yourself that chance. Put in the work. It might not be just with calisthenics or your athletics. You might be studying for, to get your degree, or you might be starting your own business, but you need to put that in the forefront and block out all the background noise. You got to put the blinders on right now.
We can touch on that too a little bit. Honestly, I cut off all news for the past probably 6 months now, and it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And what I started realizing is how much lost human potential there is just withering away watching other people complain or talk about something that doesn't even, have anything to do with them. And it's like, you could be learning a foreign language, you could be learning computer programming, you could be learning plumbing, you could be learning engineering, and all these things create. What that is creation.
You want to be a creator, not a consumer. I made a video about that not too long ago. You want to be creating something, not consuming somebody else's product. And when you're watching the news or when you're sitting on social media looking at everybody else's life, you're consuming their stuff. You need to be creating your own stuff.
Absolutely. I honestly believe that's how we're going to get to that push past to that next stage. We're going to move past this whole consumption, gluttony, kind of this
materialism, superficiality, all of that. We got to move past all of that and really stay focused on creating and kind of helping everybody else. You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to kind of like train and learn all these lessons, but I'm a firm believer that we play the role of the student and we play the role of the teacher throughout our lives. So as soon as we learn something and get proficient at it, it's basically your obligation that you need to reach back and help somebody else out with that. And I would say me and James, that's one vision that we have in common with this channel, is to help other people in terms of their fitness journey, maybe their growth journey, mindset journey, all of that. Because we've been there before. We've had a lot of these trials and tribulations, stumbling blocks, but we've pushed through and, we've created, and we both had our successes in life, and not just in athletics, but also in, our business ventures or whatever else it might be.
And honestly, to me, what would be one of the most satisfying things that could possibly happen for this channel, I remember one of my weightlifting coaches told me that they finally have great grandbabies. And what they meant by that is that they taught a weightlifter who taught another weightlifter who taught another weightlifter who did very well in the competition. And if we could eventually have great grandchildren on this channel of like this wisdom being dropped through many different people, and then we start seeing some crazy calisthenics kid that was like, you stem back, I mean, that would be like, to me, way, way more rewarding than any, financial gain or anything. Like, that would be like phenomenal.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I think that's pretty much, we could probably go rambling on for hours about this, but we kind of wanted to set, basically a precedent for what this channel is about, and kind of give you guys an idea of like where our mission is at and kind of the directions that we want to go to get there. But like I said to start this video off, no way is a way. It's really all about your mentality and your mindset. But that's pretty much it.
That's
James,
pretty
you got
much
anything
it.
to say?
Follow us on Instagram at High Octane Calisthenics. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yep.
His channel, Growth Through Calisthenics.
Yep.
My channel, JZ Calisthenics.
And hit up our website, highoctanecalisthenics.com, and holler at us. All right, guys, we hope everybody's having a great day. We'll holler at you guys later. Peace.